Okay, I'm going to talk about my breastfeeding experience. Initially, it was quite positive, and then it went to horrible, and now it's quite manageable, and I'm quite enjoying it. Initially in the hospital, as you know from my labour and delivery story, I didn't get a chance to breastfeed because I had an emergency cesarean section. So I think it was about 12 or 18 hours later that I managed to breastfeed Roisin for the first time, and it was quite good. I mean, initially I had noticed some colostrum leaking from my breasts before she was born, and maybe a week or two before she was born. So I had my colostrum coming, so that was lucky. And I had quite a lot of it as well, and it was quite sticky and wet and kind of bright yellow looking, kind of weird and kind of freaky. And um, my boobs were never very big before, and I'd always used push-up bras and chicken fillets. From that to suddenly having these huge boobs, they're being a little bit sore, and then being quite alien, that stuff was coming out of them was quite something to get my head around. Um, but Roisin got on the boob, and was latching on very well, and her suction was extremely strong. And so I did an awful lot of breastfeeding in the hospital, but they supplemented with formula, because when she was first born, obviously she needed to be fed, and I wasn't around to feed her, so they fed her with formula, which is kind of sad that I always wanted to have her just have breast milk. But obviously you need to feed the child. So I don't think I fed her with formula at all in the hospital. Maybe toward the end I did, but the majority of the time was just from the boob. My milk came in at say day 3 or 4, because I went home on day 4, or was it day 3, um, and I had to recover from the cesarean. They recommended that I used a pump so that my partner could feed her at night time so that I could rest. And I think that was the worst advice that I could have been given, um, for me personally, because my boobs decided to produce an awful lot of milk. They got very engorged and very big, and they were constantly leaking, and it was extremely distressing to feel that and to see that. And I think if I was just let feed when I could feed, I wouldn't have overproduced my milk in my breast for the first week. And I found it really, really hard trying to cope with that pain, on top of trying to um, recover from the section. So I definitely would recommend to people to not pump in the first week. Um, so that's when it started getting bad. Is when I started to get engorged, and I was using cabbage leaves. I was using frozen cabbage leaves. I was getting in the shower. I was using hot flannels to massage them. It was just a nightmare, and I don't know how I ended up. I think I ended up not stop pumping and just went by her demand and tried to feed her when I could, and then I think my boobs ended up getting the message that I didn't need to produce so much milk that I was producing, and they started to calm down. Um, I was I, at the beginning very anal about kind of writing down how long she was on for and which boob she was on, and I ended up stopping because I ended up being too focused on recording and not really listening to my body and her. Um, and it was fairly obvious what boob was next to feed because one was harder than the other. So I didn't really need to start record. I stopped recording. I think it was only maybe 2 or 3 days I was recording things. And that's pretty much how I've been doing. Um, how we've been doing it. We're following her lead. Whenever she's hungry, she just gets fed. Whenever she's sleepy, she sleeps. Whenever she's wet, she gets changed. And like, I'm not following any routine. I think she was too young to follow a routine, so I'm just kind of going whenever. And in the end, she found her own routine. Really, every 4 hours is when she wants to be fed. Initially, it was quite more regularly, but now it's every 4 hours. Um, I tend to feed, she's 7 weeks now, so I tend to feed in the night time before we go to bed. And then maybe in the middle of the night, because my boobs are so engorged, I would feed her maybe around 5 o'clock when she starts fussing. And around 5 o'clock. And then again maybe in the morning around 11 o'clock. And then at some stage in the afternoon, and maybe one more in the evening. So maybe 5 times a day. And then if I'm out and about, then we just use formula. Um, and we supplement every other feed with just formula because my boobs can't produce enough that she needs. And I don't want to trigger my boobs to produce more because I'm comfortable the way we are now, and I'm scared that it could go back to the way that it was at the very beginning. So far, initially I was saying I'm only going to do it for a week, I'm only going to do it for 2 weeks, I'm giving up after 2 weeks, this is too hard. And then I ended up just managing it, and I don't even know when I'm thinking about stopping. I think maybe when she gets teeth, or when I start feeling like I don't want to do it anymore. But so far I'm breastfeeding and it's fine and I'm enjoying it. It is occasionally annoying when she does drink very fast and my milk does come out quite fast, so she does tend to vomit a lot, and when she vomits all over me, so it is annoying, feeling wet and sticky and putting on new clothes and getting those vommed on like an hour after you just put them on yourself and on the baby. So that does start to get kind of a bit frustrating and annoying, but generally it's a nice experience. It's a good bonding experience. Um, and my partner's still able to feed her with a bottle, so it works out. So that's my breastfeeding experience, and I'll keep you up to date with that over the next couple of weeks.